town meeting ballot.
Mr. Vice Chair Susie, I did receive 2 comments via email I will read. Good afternoon, Board of Selectmen and Chelsea Town Manager. I'm writing to express my extreme displeasure with the fact that after the citizens of the town of Chelsea voted on November 4th, 2025, not to approve the creation of a charter commission to make potential revisions to the municipal charter, that the town manager seems to be taking it upon herself to put those same changes directly on the June ballot. The town voted overwhelmingly against creating a charter commission just 6 months ago. That should have been notice enough to the Board of Selectmen that the citizens of this town were not ready to start making changes to the charter. There is no urgency attached to any of these proposed changes. I agree that a commission made up of the townsfolk should be the correct way to make revisions to the charter, because it could take the time to thoughtfully digest the reasons why revisions might be warranted. But the citizens told you unequivocally that they were not ready for that. That should have been the end of it. It seems to me that the current town manager is doing her best to subvert the democratic process in the town of Chelsea by putting major items on the ballot at the last minute without providing time for the citizens to think about the issue. Just as importantly, I see this as some sort of end around against the overwhelming vote of the citizens of Chelsea last November. I don't know about you, but I'm getting thoroughly fed up with the politicians or bureaucrats at any level of government not heeding the voice of the citizens. I thoroughly expect the Chelsea Selectboard to do its job correctly and vote against putting these revisions directly on the ballot until such time as a charter commission has been established. Sincerely, Alan Hallett. The second one, regarding charter amendments for the annual town meeting ballot. If anyone should have any concerns, and just lists out the public hearing stuff. And the comment was, from an ethical and professional standpoint, the following needs to be removed from the ballot. Question number 2, subsection 2, authorizing the town manager to act as the fire department purchasing officer. The Chelsea Fire Department is doing just fine managing their expenses responsibly without micromanaging the members. The suggestion of adding the above to question 2 emphasizes and further supports the conflict of interest between the fire department, the town manager, and the Board of Selectmen, which is long overdue to be addressed. Tammy.
Anything, Mike?
Well, my feeling on the charter is that it's been, when the charter was born, so to speak, in my opinion, it was done in haste. We were in the middle of a pretty big scandal, and we had, I don't know, probably 8 or 10 people, very good people, that put this charter together. But again, in my opinion, it was put together when we were in the scandal. I believe there's a lot of things in there that went towards that behavior. And it's been 13 years, and I feel that it's time to relook and go back and look at that and see if what was done hastily, and again, in my opinion. So we did, we asked the people, we put it on the ballot to see what people thought. Now, this is the first time in 16 years that I've been here behind this desk that any type of, whenever we put something on the ballot that asks for the people to put a committee together, it always passes. And it's my opinion, I feel that there was some backdoor bullshit going on. I think a lot of people got behind and went and voted this down when we were just trying to get people back on a committee to relook at this and see what should be changed, if anything. So, I mean, if the people don't want to do it, then that's fine. But I feel that at some point, there needs to be a committee to go through and look at this charter and see what needs to be changed, if anything. That's my opinion on that.
All right, thanks. I've been pretty stern since it got revisited since the election over the last time it was on the
ballot, the town voted it no pretty substantially. I've been pretty much sticking to that the whole time, of not even wasting any more time putting it back through to get it, all these broken down on the ballot. People spoke in volumes for a reason, so that's where I stand with that. Anything else?
I can, let you know, there were 874 people that voted. 397 voted in the affirmative to form a charter commission. 446 voted in the negative, and there were 31 blank. So had 31 people understood the question, maybe they would have voted either way. But there's only a difference of 49 votes. I take comment from the public.
Any comment from the public?
I'll stand up. Two questions. One, it got voted down last November. Where did these questions or these specific items come from, I guess, that we're gonna be voting on at a specific town meeting in June? Who pulled them? Who decided on it? Where did they come from? And if we're gonna do that, I think part of it was education on the part of the town. I think a lot of the town residents don't realize what the town charter is. I don't think they know what the town charter does. And I think more public education, I guess, to them would probably get more involvement, and we would have had a better vote to open it back up. I think part of it was town charter, and they just didn't know what they were actually voting on. And when they don't know what they're voting on, they're probably gonna vote no, so, yeah. So I'd like to know where the questions came from, who pulled them, and why we're going on those specific items versus the whole charter, I guess, so.
I can actually speak to that if you'd like. So this process was tentatively started mid to late summer, with progressing to the fact to, by state statute, ask to form a charter commission. State statute says you have to have a charter commission to completely open up the whole charter, okay? Because it was voted down, I came back to the board and I said, there are some things in that charter that need to be amended. One, sexing the town manager as a he, instead of gender neutral. There are references to select men as opposed to select board, which is going against state statute. There are some clerical errors. There are some discrepancies with state law as far as the town clerk receiving certification in 1 year. It takes 5 years to receive. The town clerk, it also says in there, will act as assistant town manager. You're gonna have to compensate the town clerk a lot more if you're gonna have that person be an assistant town manager. There were a couple of discussions here at the board about the elections of like budget committee, planning board, board of appeals, board of assessment review, how nobody runs. They took a couple of them and said, we'll ask to change the charter, which was board of appeals and board of assessment review. The others, they wanted to stay the same as the charter. So state law does allow for small modifications generalized like this, without completely opening up the charter again, which is why they are categorized into 9 questions. So this is where we are. I mean, it's certainly been a lot of process. We've had, I think, every meeting basically touching on it since November. Tanya worked with me quite a bit on some of the modifications that we felt were needed to meet state statute. And we reviewed it, and we reviewed it, and we reviewed it. So that's where we stand.
Thank you.
So it didn't touch my, I guess the other question, where did the fire department purchasing officer come from?
That was a recommendation by me because of, honestly, as I said at the last meeting, when I get a bill from the fire department, I have to stick it in the box and wait for a purchasing order. Now with allowing the town manager, not necessarily me, because I won't always be here, but they get the bill, they can sign the purchase order, it gets put into the warrant immediately and gets paid. Sometimes it's a week, 10 days before the box gets picked up. So I thought it would be more consistent to just try and have one. As I said before, in last meeting, I think.
Yep, no, we did last meeting.
It
Yep.
doesn't affect what you guys are gonna buy. I'm certainly not going to tell the fire department what they can and can't buy.
She was saying it's gonna streamline that process. If there's a bill in there, you might sign it without even knowing where it came from, or you need approval on that. Cause I was chief 21 years, and it may have sat there a week, but we got them in. Usually it's a 30-day process.
Right.
You know, I used to have a credit card, and we used to do it by credit card a lot, and I'd submit it electronically by credit card, what line item it was coming out of. So I didn't have to make a trip over here. I could sit at home and say it's coming out of line, whatever,
Right.
and it would come out of equipment, or it come out of, yeah. So, I mean, that streamlined it a bit, but that's been gone, like, I just wanna know, like, why we're all of a sudden doing the fire department, because that's the only department the town has.
Right.
We don't have public works, we don't have a police department, other than the town office, we have nothing but, to just say she's gonna, be the procurement officer, if that's the way it's gonna run, that's fine, it's on record, I'm okay with that,
How long has your credit card been gone?
6 months,
So.
Yeah. So-
I can talk about that in another, that doesn't really apply to the public hearing. with
No, that's
regards
it,
to
that's
credit.
fine.
Right,
yeah.
right.
yeah, but we had, initially, 16 years ago, I got a credit card, Steve had one, and I think Phil had the other one, or Jimmy, and then it went to Phil. And if we needed something at Lowe's, or we needed cleaning supplies, or whatever, I could go somewhere. Right now, I have to go to Randolph Hardware, and I have to pay what Randolph Hardware tells me, because we have an account there. I can't go to, I had to email her the other day from Amazon, an Amazon account, and say, can you order this for us? Because I haven't had one in 6 months.
Spencer does have one.
He does, but he's a sole person right now, and he's busy, like I said.
Right.
But we used to have 2 or 3, and it was always run by each other, and I've always done a good job, I think, about getting you receipts and emailing them to you, copies of slips or whatever, so you have them.
And certainly, Sean, this is
so-
not,
No,
this is
that's
not
fine.
pertaining to that at
Yeah,
all.
I just
so-
wanna know where the procurement officer thing came from all of a sudden, that, we're changing it again, so, okay, thank you. Yep.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanna say that, I do think, maybe to piggyback on what he had indicated about the education piece, cause I can tell you, being the chair of the planning board, when we had to redo the, planning board ordinance, we had to back into the charter to do that and some other stuff, and it doesn't work. So whether you want to or not, at some point, it's gonna have to get dealt with, cause there's just some absolute functional obsolescence in that charter.
Right.
And some of it's pretty bad.
Maybe down the road, as a board, and if it doesn't get involved, is figure out a way to get this out to people. If you get something in the mail, explain to them, this is coming down the pike, do yourself some reading.
It was all in our Chelsea Messenger, and I even did an informational sheet, and I did a chat with the manager on all of that charter stuff.
But that didn't work, so I'm not gonna do that again.
Yeah, I don't know, but I can tell you that just sitting on the other side of that,
Right.
having had to try to work around it, it was impossible.
Right.
And so, you've got all this staggered terms that doesn't even make any sense. You've got this problem and that problem, and then you've got, some of it is in flagrant violation of just outright state law now. I mean, there's issues with it, so. At some point, it won't be optional. The state's really starting to come down on some of this stuff, as I'm finding on this side of the world.
Right.
So,
Anybody else?
So just close the public hearing.
Alright, we'll close the public hearing at 7:01. Scheduled items, A, new business, select board vote to place charter amendment, questions on the June 2026 ballot.
State statute says that we had to hold a public hearing 30 days prior to the vote, and then the select board has to vote to place these on the ballot.
Okay. I am fine with putting number 1 on the ballot just because of legal down the road problems. Other than that, I'm fine with tossing all of them in the trash and not putting them on the ballot. I'll make a motion to do that.
Well, probably should have our third board member here. To voice, her opinion, the chair. I'm under the notion that you either do the whole thing, or you throw the whole thing out and you work it, but you put, we gotta put a committee together, as Joel said, and just go back through that thing, so It's either all or nothing for me.
Well, she's not here, so I'll make a motion to throw the whole thing out and figure out a new plan next time around.
Needs, Joel, in your opinion, it needs a lot of work?
From what I saw from my end of things, there is, if you look down through how just from the side of how boards and committees and stuff are structured, it's not functional. I mean, we ran into a lot of problems with it. And I don't know if it ended up getting fixed, I don't think it did, but some of it how it's currently operating flies in the face of the charter. But there's no other way for it to function, because if it didn't, then you wouldn't have a functioning town government, right?
What's your opinion on it?
If you're looking for a full review, you have to have a charter commission. And it was voted down by 40
Well, we're
votes.
not, I think we're not voting to throw it out.
That's his,
No.
he
I'll
does
throw
not.
it on the ballot.
Yeah.
Not put on the ballot.
No, you're not voting to throw the charter out.
No,
The charter's
well, I
gonna
thought that's
stay
where
in-
you were going with that.
No. If what Chair Alexander from the planning board is saying needs a complete work, the voters have to vote the charter commission. This was not that. This
No,
was
yeah.
minor errors.
So you're saying the whole thing, or just going through it?
From the things that I've seen, there's just a lot of things that make things functional. Like, she's right, like, there's a lot of stuff, and you were right, like, a lot of it is, it was probably put together quickly, and then some of it is just historically outdated with time. So, and how our boards are functioning now, you have a hard time getting people to, we went, almost 6 months without a planning board, we didn't have anybody. And so you don't get people to run, you don't get this, you don't get that. So, but if you look at the way the charter is designed, you're not, you have to have things a certain way, but we're functioning in a different capacity. So,
Well, we didn't have a problem getting people back then because of where we were as a town.
correct, but
It
it's a
was-
different world now, and your budget committee is pulling from boards that you have because you've got a couple people that are willing just to do multiple boards and want, just to make things function. We had a problem with the appeals board, if I recall, and, so we started pulling people from various places. I had a conversation with the town manager about, she called me, we were talking about something else one day, do you have any ideas? Yeah, call this person, call this person, call this person. Pull from the planning board if you can, like, do what you gotta do, but the boards and the functional structure of the stuff aside from the select board is having a hard time functioning. And the town charter is not helping.
So you think the reason people wanna hear is because of the charter?
Well, that's no, I mean, people aren't showing up because they're not showing up.
Right.
But the town charter, like, if you're looking to function and function correctly, like how we're functioning right now flies in the face of what you have written. So the only way to fix that is to change what you got written.
Right.
So, I mean, that's problem one.
Yeah, when you need 30 votes or 30 signatures to be on the appeals board, people aren't just gonna go out and get 30 signatures.
Right.
They don't have the time. They got little league and softball and everything
And
else.
that's what
They
the charter
They can
requires.
come on a Wednesday and volunteer for the appeals board, but they can't spend 6
Right.
hours going to get,
Or
17,
go through all
26.
that.
Yeah.
When they can just get appointed by the select
Correct.
board and do a couple years or a year or whatever they
Yeah.
want.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
and that's the
hard
problem, and I think
Yeah.
that does contribute to part of why
Mhm.
people aren't here,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
so, yes.
So basically getting it
Answer
out
that
so
question.
people understand what's going on is more important.
Yeah.
Until we do that, you don't really have a leg to stand on because the townspeople vote and that's what the way it rolls. And until they get a grasp of what needs to be improved, what needs to be changed, I think as a board and as a town manager, we can come together better and, put it together better so it's more readable for people in town.
Yeah, I mean,
Until then, we're not gonna be able to do anything,
I-
unfortunately.
it is what it is, but that's my take.
Right.
So if we decide not to put it on the ballot, does that hinder anything for you at all?
It's just where we are. It's just where we are now.
Okay.
But we're only talking about these 9, right?
Right.
Okay.
So I'll second his motion.
Can you clarify what the motion was?
To remove,
To not put all 9, to not put that,
Just question 1?
No.
all.
None of them?
yeah.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Sorry.
Alright. Number 2, sole source procurement, commission, road sweeping, Ellis Construction, roadside mowing, Gary Gassner, and grading of roads, Left Construction.
As you are aware, the procurement ordinance requires anything over 5,000. I would like a sole source procurement needs to be approved by the board. So I'm asking for this board to consider a sole source procurement to allow these companies to do these projects. I've ran into road sweeping companies not existing. Ellis has done it for a few years now. Last year, I called, I think, 4 different people. Nobody was interested in roadside mowing, thankfully. Mr. Kastner took us on. He lives in Waldeboro. That was the closest one I could find. And I would like Willett Family Construction to do the grading. They've done it a couple of years now. They're familiar with it. If not, I have to send it out to bid, and it will be 6-8 weeks before any of these things get accomplished.
Well, my thing is, since Tim's here, remember last year, there was a few people complaining on the grading of those windrow, the dirt left on the shoulders of the dirt roads. And I'd asked you what the deal was with that. I know I got answered back, so Tim's here, I don't know if he can answer the question.
Are you talking about Sully Road?
All of them, the dirt road, and they got graded, they left windrows up the side, so the water couldn't get out. And people were kinda wondering why that got wet.
Honestly, I don't remember. I remember Sully Road being an issue, and Tim's crew went back and took care of that. I don't.
On Beaver Road.
Okay.
I mean, I'm fine with it as long as, you know, this doesn't continue to happen, as long as it gets addressed and,
We can certainly talk about
Accountability,
it with
right.
the construction company, sure.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. This procurement, this is one thing I want to have looked at in the Charter Commission. We always had a $10,000 minimum bid ordinance here in town. And when this charter came into effect, and apparently, I'm behind the 8 ball here, but apparently it went to, that was changed and it went to $5,000, which I was never aware of, never really paid attention to it, nor did our prior town manager have any issues with it, nor anybody in the town. When that was sent out, anything that was under $10,000, Scott just gave it to whoever he thought. $5,000 is just way too low. You can't get anything done for $5,000. And, so that's definitely one thing I think needs to be looked at and moved back to that $10,000, the way it's been for a long time. So I'm fine with this.
need a motion on it.
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to allow town manager to sole source procurement permission for road sweeping, Ellis Construction, roadside mowing, Gary Gassner, and grading of roads, Left Construction.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Work session, final review with the budget committee, updated budget sheets will be provided at the meeting.
Okay. So my goal here this evening, with the 4 members of the budget committee that are here and 2 members of the select board, is to review the ones that there seem to be some discrepancy on, to decide if you are choosing to keep the votes the way they are, or should there be some more discussion on how to possibly amend the amounts. We can talk about why they voted the way they did and what way you guys voted the way you did, and maybe come to some sort of agreement or not agreement. just if, as long as we have a good united front when we go to town meeting, this is why this is happening, I would feel much more confident with that. So it's just basically a work session between you guys and you guys. So, and I can tell you which ones, you guys have updated sheets right there.
So one stack for each,
No,
section, or?
they are, yes, one stack for each section. There are 7 in there, so just grab one. I didn't have time to sort them out today. Let's see. We can start with section 5. The amounts are the same, just as a note, the votes are a little off, okay, so I'm not sure that you need to go and review that. Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, we're getting caught up.
It's okay.
Isn't this,
Thank you.
I took 10,000 off?
Thank you.
I believe that's what it is.
Did you tell the body what section we're in, or what line item, I guess?
Sure, this is administration salaries.
Okay.
Yes, the amount is $290,753. The select board voted 2 to 1, and the budget committee, I'm sorry, select board recommended 2 to 1, budget committee recommended 6 to 0 with 1 abstaining.
Okay. Thank you.
So I'm not sure that you guys have to review that one.
This is the same amount, right?
Correct.
Okay, I'd make a suggestion that with the discrepancy on the amounts, I mean,
Okay.
why are we picking this one if it's the same?
I just figured I'd start here because
Oh.
there's a little difference in votes, but if you want to just review the ones that have the difference in dollar amounts, I'm good with that too.
Does everybody else feel that way?
I find the dollar amount.
I'm just here for the ride, man.
Okay.
Okay, so then let me go through and find the ones that have the odd dollar amounts, how's that? It would be section 11, the boards. The budget committee recommended 11,600. The select board recommended 11,100. A difference of $500, and that was in the select board pay.
This ain't gonna do anything.
Section of 11, right?
Right.
There we go. Thank you. Thank you.
If I remember correctly, the select board felt that they should take a little bit of cut on the chair's pay from 3,000 down to 2,500.
What you guys wanna do, I'm okay with it. You,
Yeah, I'm fine with that, yeah.
Yes.
Do you need a vote?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, all those in favor of going with it?
Okay. I'm gonna make a note that it was amended after for $11,100. Okay? Section 14, summer roads. The budget committee recommended 710,000. 6 to 1. The municipal officers recommended 688,000, 3 to 0. The difference was cutting grade gravel by $20,000. And $20,000 and cutting, supplies and signs by $2,000. So, supplies, signs, and grade gravel were the two different amounts.
And my only question is, do you think that's gonna be okay?
I mean, yeah, if you look back at the years past of the numbers you've used, it was just that one year in 2023 that we had 48,000 there. And that was that crazy storm we had. And I believe we got paid back from FEMA from that, I assume. So just the numbers are well lower than that. They're trying to tighten things up a bit.
Sure.
Just makes sense.
Comment? I'm all set with this. Yeah, yeah.
680,000 you're okay with? Okay.
Do you need a vote?
Yes, please.
All those in favor?
Okay. I think that is it. Everything else was the same.
No doubt. Mhm.
Let me just double check one more time.
Last push. We'll go.
And you're all set.
Anybody comments? No, sir. I call it at 7:20.